Hi everyone, Joy here. As you guys know, I have started this podcast to share my entrepreneurial journey. And I thought, what better way to do that than to share the entrepreneurial journey of other people? And today I have Tiji here. He lives in Texas and Houston, or should I say Sugarland, as he explained to me. Yes. And he is very great with teaching people sales strategies. So what he does is he teaches people how to hold on to their values, but at the same time, converting their sales into how do you say it? 50% conversion rate? Did you, was that right?
Yeah, I teach something called unselling, and unselling just means anti-high pressure. So usually my average student typically comes with me, maybe 5-10% conversions, and I show them how to get over 50%. So
there you have it.
Hi there, my name is Joy Nicholson. I'm an entrepreneur, digital marketer, coach and mentor. I've been diving in deep for the last year to discover what it really takes to be an entrepreneur. Not just the fluff that you see on the outside when you see people that are already successful, but what it takes behind the scenes to become successful. What I discovered was mind-blowing. Millionaires think differently. They have unique habits, focus, discipline, and so much more. Follow along in this podcast where I'll be sharing my journey, the journey of other entrepreneurs, what makes them successful, but most importantly, what can make you successful.
Hello, Tiji. How are you doing?
hi, Joy. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming onto the show. I really appreciate your time. I've been looking forward to this interview because I believe that you can share a lot of value with our audience, and that is very exciting stuff.
Awesome.
So, a little bit about you, please. Tell people about you. Where did you start out? Just a bit of your backstory.
Sure. So I live in Sugarland now, Sugarland, Texas. I'm from back east originally. I've been married should be 23 years. My daughter is 20, my son's 13, and they've grown up in an entrepreneurial household. Now, I didn't share a lot of super details about my business, but I'm an entrepreneur. I do own several companies, so I will be able to help you with some, real good content for your tribe about entrepreneurialism. But my family's grown that way. Both my kids have grown up. We've been able to travel the world. They've both been homeschooled.
Nice.
So we love to travel. I've been able to retire my wife 8 years ago. So she's been able to stay home, homeschool the kids. And so it's been an awesome journey. I've got my own team of people that I work with. So I've got a B2B component, but I also work a lot with entrepreneurs. I work a lot with coaches, course creators, consultants. So I do know the entrepreneurial journey myself, but I work with a lot of people on a daily basis that are going through the ups and downs, the challenges of being an entrepreneur. So I really want to thank you for having me on, and want to be able to share some of this, the good, bad, and I don't want to say the ugly. I'll just say the good and bad with your tribe. Okay.
That was a good movie.
Yes, it was. It was a good movie.
Thank you so much, TJ. Well, let's dive straight into your struggles. What has been your biggest struggle with being an entrepreneur?
So I've actually been in the sales industry for 31 years. So I've been doing this for quite some time. My entrepreneurial journey actually started when I was very, very young. And my parents, they owned a grocery store. So I learned a lot about business when I was really young. The thing is, I got very much lulled into tradition because, I'm South Indian. So the Indian families, when I was growing up, you had to be an engineer, a doctor, something. IT wasn't big when I was growing up. Now it is. But back then it was like, we want you to get a good job. So I went that route, got the job. And then, I got paid a lot of money for doing what I did. And then I just got really disillusioned. And then I started my entrepreneurial journey, just a little bit on the side, trying to make some money here, make some money there. And I struggled pretty much every business I started, I failed. And I became successful when I started modeling what successful people have done. So one of the biggest lessons I want to give people or entrepreneurs or starting that journey is to really don't look to recreate the wheel, find out something that works, and then get a mentor. Like if people are listening to your podcast, it's this great way to do that. Find someone who's successful, who's interviewing and finding other people that are successful, and then just follow what they did. And that's what I didn't do. I was taught by people that didn't know what they were doing, and I was kind of blind leading the blind. And then when I started getting mentors and coaches in my life that really knew what had happened, and they'll say, listen, TG, you do this, don't do that, do this. Okay, do this, but you're going to mess up, and it's okay. Get up, and I want you to keep doing this. So when that happened is when my life changed, and that's really what I would say has been the way my entrepreneurial journey was. It's a lot. If this is like the flow chart, it would be like this a lot, and then from there it's been like that. So
it is so true. I love that you say that because yeah, people start out this journey and I think it's going to be easy because they watch a few YouTube videos and they go like, oh wow, that's so easy. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, that guy or person that they follow on YouTube has been doing it for many, many years. And what they see is just the good stuff, not the struggles. And yeah.
absolutely.
And then people give up. And this is the sad part because they just can't make it. They give up.
That's one of the biggest things I would say is people will just give up because they just give it a shot, or excuse me, give it 2 shots, and they're like, oh, this isn't for me. And you know, it's just the way life is. I mean, life and business have a lot of similarities. There's a lot of parallels with what goes on in your life. And I always tell people, most people don't live a super easy life. I mean, there's challenges that you get. Even if you have a job, you have challenges, right? So there could be, you know, projects that come up at work. There could be relationships that you have. There's all these type of things. There's goods and bads to it. Business, you're right. YouTube is a great thing, but it also can be bad because a lot of times people will look at it and go, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go and do what they say and I'm going to become a millionaire. And that's not how it works. And that's why having a mentor or a coach is really important, because they will let you know, hey, this is what's going to happen. You know, or when you're testing something, right? They tell you to test. The reason they tell you to test is it can fail, right? So sometimes people think that failure is bad, whereas when you're an entrepreneur, you know, failure is just data. That's all it is. And you just start looking at it instead of winning and losing, look at it as winning and learning, right? So you make some wins, and instead of looking at, oh, I just messed up there, you just figured something out. You figured out what not to do, right? Or you figured out not what to go road to go down, then you go somewhere else. So that's what mindset and really looking at it from the right point of view is so crucial for being an entrepreneur. Because like you said, many people quit, especially when they're so close.
That is so true. And I myself, I have been, you know, involved with, because I've got my own little Facebook group, and there's so many people that's just, they start and then they watch the videos, they learn some things, and then they're like, I can't do this, it's too hard. And it's quite sad, actually.
Well, I always tell people it's not supposed to be easy. It's just supposed to be worth it, right? I mean, it's just supposed to be worth it. And the thing is, if it was super easy, everybody would be a millionaire, right? But I do tell people it's simple, and people think it's the same thing. I say it's not. It's a simple process with most businesses to make work. You just have to figure out the right marketing angle, the right. Now, I work with people on the conversion part, right? Not as my marketing. I do know I help on the conversion, but it's basically about a marketing piece. You can do organic or paid, to whatever the business is. And once you get a potential customer, then it's about the conversion part. Then you have a fulfillment. And in each of those places, you have some testing to do. And that's where people typically lose it. They don't know that you're supposed to fail. That's part of it. You're supposed to fail. But if you don't get it right, just keep going and testing something else. And if you stick with what your mentors, your coaches are telling you to do, you're going to find success. That's just my attitude, is you're going to find if you keep at it.
Oh, exactly. I completely agree with you. And the more failures you have, you're more likely to succeed. That's
absolutely. I've had way more failures than successes, but the successes that I've had have been pretty awesome, you know.
Yeah, that's on that one. So what is your secret sauce? What is that thing that you feel makes you successful?
So with me is I'm a really good listener. That's what I have to say, because again, I'm in the sales industry, and it's amazing to me in that industry how many people don't listen. And just listening is just, and it's also if you have a relationship, like, you know, with my wife and I, we've been married almost 23 years. And part of the reason that we've gotten so well to, you know, along with this is our communication. And if she says something to me, I'll listen. If she says, you know, I back and forth. We don't cut each other off. We just really focus on listening to what the other person has to say, and then figuring out what that person wants, which is about not making assumptions. So one of the things, especially with the men and women, that I learned when I was first married, is sometimes when your wife shares a problem with you, they don't want you to solve it. They just want you sometimes just to hear. They don't want you to solve it, right? But you're not going to find that out unless you listen and ask questions. And it was a rude awakening when I first got married, because, you know, men want to solve, right? They want to help. And so when men say a problem, typically they want a solution, but women just want to be heard. So in the world of selling, that I learned is when you listen, that's part of it. Then you ask questions to find out what has to happen, right? So if I had stopped when I first got married and heard her problem, go, so what did you want me to do, or do you want me to help you with that? And she goes, no. I just want you to listen. Then I would have, been straight with it. So, and I say it in a jovial way, but that's what happens in sales, is most people don't listen. So I think my secret sauce, what I do better than a lot of other people, is just really truly listen. And I really care. I always tell people, if you're in business, you want to make sure that you're in it to help people. So when you start from a position of caring, of helping, then you're going to do what's in their best interest, not what's in your best interest. And when you're selling something, right, and that other person knows you're doing something in their best interest, then they're going to be more open to listen, and they're going to want to work with you, right? So I would say that listening and asking questions that truly lets that person know that I'm hearing what their issue is, or what their concern is, what their problem is, what their goal is, what their dream is. And then asking them more questions to really make sure I'm clear. That's what I'm pretty well known and good at it.
Well, that's awesome, because, sometimes you get these people that, and you probably get the same, TJ, where you get people that just message you on Messenger, and then they just keep trying to sell you. And you're like, but I don't want this opportunity. I don't want this. But this is like, I'm like, you don't understand. How is this going to align with my business and help me? And 90% of the time, they can't answer those questions. Is this then the type of things that you do, teaching people exactly, how to not do that type of thing?
Yeah, if somebody has an organic outreach. Now, I deal with a lot of coaches, consultants that do paid advertising. So there's usually a way that, they'll go to a webinar or a video, and then they'll come to a survey or something to set an appointment. If you are doing organic, right, where you're not paying, you're doing outreach, yes, that is a challenge, because a lot of times when people do outreaches, it's usually veiled by, hey, I want to sell you something. I want to sell you something. And that's okay, because, in the world we live in, that's a part of what goes on out there, right? We're plied with ads everywhere we go, messaging. So buying and selling is, but the thing is, if you don't have a relationship with that person and you ask them to buy something, it's a really quick turnoff. So it's really the wrong way to do it. So I always talk about finding a connection first with someone. So I do teach. So if someone would ask me that, I would say, yes, you want to focus on building a relationship, or building some kind of funnel or landing page where they can go to learn more about you before you make any kind of offer. So I'm really I believe in the law of abundance, which really is, if you give, and look to really help people out, then it'll come back, to you in waves. So yes, I believe that is a big problem that people are having, and but if you change that viewpoint to really just absolutely looking to help somebody and caring about them, but sometimes when I even give them messages like, I think I sent you an outreach, and that's how we connected. People are almost like taken aback. They're almost like, wow, are you sure you don't want anything? Like they'll ask me, what's the catch? And I'm like, no, I don't really have a catch. It's just, I'm not really looking for anything. If you want help, I'm here to help you. And they're almost thinking, wow, what's going on? So that is something I do believe in.
I've actually asked that question a few times by people similar to you that actually just really want to have a conversation, because I'm so used to people just trying to sell me all the time, which is quite sad. And I never, because I used to be in sales for a while, so I know it's hard to sell. And I used to be in an MLM, and unfortunately they teach you these things, they teach you how to do this. And I couldn't do it. Like I was in it for like a week, the methods that they taught. And I was like, this is not right. And I just did it my own thing.
You're absolutely right. It's taught, this method is taught by a lot of people, and they just like to work the numbers game. And really, it's hard for me, being a guy, approaching a female, because I have always good intention to talk to people. There's always this like wall that's up, that, hey, why is he reaching out to me? Does he really have a sincere, business relationship, or is he, so yeah, so people do a lot of things wrong on Messenger. They do it the wrong way, and it makes it a challenge for people that want to do it the right way. But there are, but you want to be true to yourself. You really have to be honest. You just can't be doing it just as a technique. You really want it. And so my thing, and it's, it's not the way a lot of people in sales think, but my thing is always look to help people. Believe the law of abundance, and if it's meant to be, it'll happen, right? Exactly. And if you don't want to do it that way, then just do paid advertising. That's the way I like it. Just do paid and have people book on your calendar. Then you can it's a lot easier to have those conversations, right?
That's very, very true. So my next question was really about developing your brain and education. Now, so you've got a big bookshelf behind you. What is your favorite book?
So I've got 3 of these in my house. I just can't fit them all in this room. I'm a big believer in really getting your mind the right way, especially being an entrepreneur. You have so much negativity to deal with. When I was younger, I used to love, fiction books, right? I used to love the mysteries and what's the other thing? Conspiracies. When I was young, I had an uncle that used to give me all these books. I really got into all that. But when I became an entrepreneur and a business, I just stopped reading all those, because now my free time I spend with my son, or I take my daughter out on a date, and there's a lot of other things I like to do. But when I read, which every day I read, one of my assistants every day reminds me, no matter how crazy, she sends me a message, and it's about all 5 things I want her to remind me of every day. So I always make sure it's done. And one is I read at least 10 pages from whatever book I'm reading. So I just completed a book called The One Thing, and it's one of my all-time favorite books. It's by Gary Keller. Okay. I'm sure that you have Keller Williams Realty in New Zealand as well. Keller Williams is in the US is one of the biggest. Remax is huge. And then Keller Williams is probably the second biggest realtor, I believe, in the US. So don't quote me on that, but they're super huge, but they're international as well. But Gary Keller is the Keller in Keller Williams. So he wrote this book called The One Thing, and he talks about how he distills everything that is out there, all the noise, into one thing that he focuses on, either that day, that week, or that month. And that's what he did to take his business from being hardly anything to over $100 million company. And now it's probably multiple billions. So yeah, I highly recommend it. That's one of my favorite books, is The One Thing by Gary Keller. I love reading. Yes, I love reading. I've also read recently Robert Cialdini's Influence. Influence is a great book. The Dip by Seth Godin. So those are some books just off the top that I've been reading recently that are pretty awesome.
I love reading as well. I used to have a bookshelf behind me, but it's now a whiteboard. So the office is still in like half remodeling phase, but I've got a bookshelf there, and I've got books just everywhere. I think I'm driving my husband mad with just books everywhere. But yeah, reading is great. It's a good bedtime thing too. Get off your phone early enough and just read.
Because your mind is so, because what we spoke about earlier, how much negativity you face, you have to get your mind right. It's got to be focused, because if you let doubt creep in, and that's one of the biggest killers. Like we say, people quit too early, is because there's so much doubt. But the thing is, a lot of times when I talk to coaches about the mindset part, their routine is watching TV shows, watching the news, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is just super negative, and it's not going to help you with your condition. Ways you could read books that's going to really uplift you and really get, because again, when you are wanting to become wealthy or successful, whatever, you have to model what other people do. Exactly. Like the Bill Gates out there. I mean, I think Bill Gates, I always get them confused, but Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, one of them reads like 500 books a year, and one of them reads a book a day, or they spend a couple hours reading. Just follow what successful people are doing. They're doing that for a reason, right? Exactly. So, and I've done it, and it's just amazing. It just gets your mind the right way, so you're not going to let doubt, hold you down and take you the wrong way.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. And I've noticed that with people, when they have a bad mindset, they really they really get themselves into the wrong things. Like they're more worried about what the celebrities are doing or what's on the TV than, focusing on their business. And honestly, that's not good. Like, it's just not good. There's no point in indulging in stuff like that.
Many people do that. And the other thing is, a lot of times when you're an entrepreneur or you're trying to be an entrepreneur and you're having doubts about doing things, instead of focusing on refixing those doubts, they'll find excuses not to do it. In fact, I know that people are listening to this or watching this are going, oh my gosh, that's me. You want to push it off. You know what, making a call, I'll do that later. Writing an email, you know what, let me get dinner. I have to watch shows with the kids and then I'll come back and I'll do it later. Or I need a break. I've had a lot of no's. So I'm going to watch the entertainment channel and take my mind off. So they have all these things that they do that's not income generating. I'm not saying not to take time for yourself. That is really important. But when you're focusing on doing work, just do it. Don't make excuses. Don't say, I'm going to go watch TV or do this or do that. Just focus on things that's going to help your business. Don't procrastinate. That's another thing that entrepreneurs are really good at. Just focus on getting stuff done.
Exactly. And I learned something probably a year ago now, from Mel Robbins. So she's got this 5-second rule. So every time you procrastinate, then go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a deep breath, and you just start doing what you need to do. But I didn't only do it for a few minutes, and before you know it, you're into it for an hour. So it's a little.
I use my calendar. If it's on my Google Calendar, it gets done.
Yes.
I do everything. I don't push things off. Even my kids, or my wife, if stuff needs to be done, I puts it in there. I put my breaks in there. So if I'm going to play basketball in the back with my son, he'll come in here and we'll put it on my calendar. So I know it gets done, right? And then I can tell him, listen, I've got a call here. I'm doing a podcast here, but we have a break here after dinner. We can do it. And then, and a lot of times I block time off just for family time. So I'm a big proponent of work. People say work-life balance. One of the things that Gary says in his book, the one thing, work-life balance is really a misnomer. It's really hard to do that. It's either one is going to win or the other. It's really hard to balance it, right? But when you take time off, you want to just take time off, unplug, and just focus on doing what needs to be done. That's your focus. Your one thing you focus on. Don't have your phone on your lap, right? If you're spending time with your significant other, a date night, whatever, just do that. Don't do work. But when you're doing work, don't, like your friend was saying, don't make excuses. Do your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get to work. Don't make excuses. You got to get stuff done. And if people focus on getting things done, they'll get it done. But if they focus on finding reasons why not to do it, it won't get done either. So one of the things I tell my team is I've got my sales team that works with a lot of coaches and consultants. If they ever use the word try in any meetings that we have, they know that that's one thing that I do tolerate. I always tell my team, never say they're going to try to do anything. And I tell to entrepreneurs, well, don't say, hey, I'm going to try and do it. Because if you try and do it, what you're saying is, you know what, I'm going to give it as much of a shot that I think is okay without that not getting to it. I have a limit here. But if I don't get it, it's okay because I haven't done it. Because I tried. So I tell people, you either do it or you don't. Yes. So even my mentors and coaches, they tell me to do something and I don't get it done. I am not going to go to their meeting and say, oh, I didn't get it done because I just didn't get it done. I just didn't get it. So it's a way that you approach things, and people find out when you stop making excuses internally, you'll get it done. It's amazing. You will find a way to get it done.
Exactly. And it's that will. Change that will, the try to I will get it done. It's going to happen.
I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan, but there's a character, Yoda.
Yes.
The little green guy. And I used to have that as my screensaver for the longest time because one of the things he said is there is no try, only do.
There you go.
Yeah. So I love it. I was like, that's my mantra. Just do it. Just do it.
Do you practice gratitude every day?
I do. You're talking about affirmations?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. So basically every evening before I go to bed and we believe in prayer as well. So I do that every evening. And then in the morning. I'm not one of those guys like to show up for anything. I'm a big preparer. I like to prepare. I always tell people that I have organized chaos going on because it looks like I've got stuff all over the place, but I don't have a way to get things done. But in the morning, I do gratitude, I do affirmations, I read, and then I prepare for that day as well. I don't just show up. And then I'm always in a good state, like in a
Yeah.
positive state. No matter how I could have no, it doesn't matter. For the next call, the next thing I'm doing, I don't let that energy carry over. So if people are down, work on getting your state back up. Like just work on getting that energy back. Because
Exactly.
people will feed off of that. And if you're trying to sell something, right? People will know that, feel that state. They're going to buy that state more than what you're saying. Right? You may say the right things, but if your actions not backing up those words, it could end up in the wrong way. So yes, I do believe in the power of affirmations and getting into a positive state.
I've actually done a podcast on it a few weeks ago, and it really makes a big difference if you especially when your mood is down. And like I say, before you jump on a call, because if I used to do cold selling, so I know exactly how it's all about. And if you just a little bit, just a fraction down, the other person can hear it, and you've already killed the sale before you even tried. And
Absolutely.
it's a very, very good point. Very good point. All right. So obviously you're a family man. And, by hearing it, your family does have a priority in your organized chaos life.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite thing to do with your family?
So we actually, I believe I shared with you that we just went, well, I said I personally lost a lot of weight, but we kind of did that as a family, except my son. My son, he's a little bit young to get on our lifestyle change. So, we enjoy eating a lot. We're big eaters. We're foodies, I guess. So we changed into eating a lot more from home and eating healthy. So we do a lot of stuff cooking. We cook together. We eat together. That's one of the things I love is that we get to eat our meals together. Now my daughter is in college, right? She's finishing up. So a few days she's not with us. But we're very close as a family. And if I ever leave, like if I go to a speaking engagement or if I have to go out of town for a few days, it really messes the dynamics here because we're always used to being together. So family type activities, travel trips. We do a lot of mini trips. We go for drives. We're right outside of Houston. So we do a lot of mini trips around here. My daughter's getting older, so I don't have as many dates with her as I used to, but my son is still a teenager, so we do play a lot of sports. A lot of basketball. He kind of teaches me about Fortnite, I guess, or some of these new games that are out that the kids are doing. So, but I'd like to do that. I just take time off and focus on doing that. My wife and I will have like coffee time where we'll just, without the kids or just spend some time, just having coffee and talking, catching up. So I do have some friends that are non-entrepreneurs that, every once in a while we'll get together. I'm a big sports fan, so we'll do sports get-togethers. But most of the time it's family. Most of the time we do family events, just anything family related. We spend a lot of time together.
That is fantastic because, as entrepreneurs, you tend to just sometimes neglect your family. I was very guilty of that. I pulled myself together and I'm not anymore, but I used to be very guilty of that. So it's always nice to hear that, families do have a priority in an entrepreneurial journey because it is challenging to balance it all, like the work, like you mentioned earlier with your book, The Gary Guy, there's like the work-life balance is really hard,
Absolutely. And when I first got married, it was tough because it was before the kids. I used to try and do everything myself. Like I did have a successful business before the internet. I had a full-time job and I was making 6 figures offline before the internet doing direct mail, direct marketing. But I was a one-man show and I did everything because my wife really wasn't entrepreneurial at that point. But the communication that I talked about earlier was key because we started communicating and she told me what some of the things that she didn't like. And like I was working 18-hour days and just a lot of craziness to make things work, right? But again, this was without a mentor. Once I got a mentor and they focused on the right things, my life just literally changed. But we talked about the things that are important to us and when we have kids and all those type of things. So yeah, we incorporated all that in to make sure that we didn't lose that part, that identity, and that what was our why. Like our why, everyone's got different whys, right? True. Mine's not to drive a Lambo and have a 2-seater, right? Even though we've got nice cars, we've got 3 pretty cool cars. So it's not like we have bad cars, but that wasn't our focus. Our focus was to make sure that we got to spend our time together and we left corporate America behind and did more things. The homeschooling was just an added benefit. So get your why dialed down, and communication with your family, your spouse, your significant other. Those are crucial. And one thing I tell people, especially those of you that are listening that are entrepreneurs, that maybe the main, could be male, female, whoever is the main entrepreneur and the spouse is not, communicate with them. A lot of times so much can happen if you communicate. Even if you're losing your money, you charge your cards up, whatever's going on, you're getting into debt, let them know what's going on, the reason why you're in front of that computer or doing this. They need to know, because that can handle so much of the angst, because sometimes people will try to shield that other person from the negative that's going on. Because, most people, let's be honest, are losing money. The majority of people who want to be coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, they're going to fail. They're going to lose money. And that's why they quit, right? Sometimes they quit because of their significant other is telling them, hey, stop, you're not making us any money. Because they don't know what's going on. They don't really know that entrepreneurial journey. They're just seeing what you're doing. You're spending time in front of the computer and we're not making any money. So that means what you're doing must not be working. So you communicate with them and say, listen, this is what I'm trying to do. I can really use your support. How can we work together on this? It's amazing what can happen. That's really what I did. So
that's great advice, Tiji. Really, that's great advice. I feel like you should be a marriage counselor. You're giving great advice here.
My wife, before she retired, was a psychotherapist. So she used to give a lot of counseling advice. So I think it probably rubbed off on me.
It's awesome. I absolutely love it. Okay, so you obviously have your own team of people working for you. How do you take care of them that they keep loyal to you?
So I'm in charge of training. So I do the training myself, but I have a sales manager that pretty much runs a lot of what is it we do. And I put them on pedestals. I give them a lot of positive feedback. I'm rarely critical. Like, I'm very careful about who I hire. It's usually tough to work for me because I'm really careful about the hiring process. But once you work for me, most people end up staying for a long time. But I'm very positive, and, if I have to be direct, I'll be direct, but it's usually with love and with, I don't yell at people. I don't ask people to do anything I wouldn't do. So I'm very positive that way. And I do a lot of the training myself. And since my training is based around an ethical selling, process, people like it. They love it. It's more natural to them. And they love selling like that. The problem is most people who are told to sell like that are not taught how to do it properly. So they usually are not making money.
That's exactly it.
So I focus on showing them the right ways to put systems and processes in place. So a lot of it has to just to be having good systems in place, good training in place, a good manager. Like we have a good manager, I have a good operations manager as well. So just surrounding yourself with good leaders and then being really upfront and very positive, like, just uplifting people instead of tearing them down.
Yes. That's awesome advice. I love that. I'm in a process of building my team. Well, I've been putting my feelers out there, to start building a team. And it's a question that, because obviously I'm exactly like you. And I used to be in a sales manager position, and I used to have salespeople. And I worked at a company where I was it's like two sales managers in different business units. And the one manager really just tore her team down all the time. And I was the one building it up. And my team was better than her team. And it wasn't because I had better salespeople. It's just because I was building them up. And it's so nice that you say that, because it's amazing. Because if you feel good about your job and what you do, you are going to succeed. And you're going to be loyal.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing. Before I got into the entrepreneurial part, I was one of 5 sales managers at this organization, and my team outsold everybody else's, and people from other teams wanted to join my team because they knew that they were getting yelled at, and I didn't yell, and I trained. I spent a lot of time with training and getting people better. So yeah, it's like, our parents used to say that you get a lot more, bees with honey than you do with whatever vinegar or whatever that saying is. I probably misspoke it there, but yeah, I really believe in that positive way of, doing things. Even with our kids, we've never done corporal punishment with our kids. We believe a lot more in positive reinforcement and just getting the best. And the thing with our kids, it's work, because the one thing, I don't know if this is, I guess for parents, it's a positive, but they've never lied. They don't lie. Both my kids don't lie. They're truthful to a fault. they're truthful to a fault, that because they know that at the end of the day, we may get upset, we may get mad, but we're going to handle it the best way that we can. So we create that environment, and I do that with my team as well. So I want to make sure that they're very honest with me about things. So if you do it the right way and you build that culture, it's just really the best way to go, and then they end up being productive. So
that's the key. That is absolutely the key. What is your daily methods of operation? So from morning when you start working till like when you finish, how do you run your day?
So I've got 3 different companies or 3 different focuses that I have. So one of the companies, it's affiliate driven. It's mostly affiliates. It has nothing to do with coaching. It's a different income stream that I have. So I have to make sure that I meet with the affiliate manager. So what I do is in the course of the day, my calendar, I have usually for the following week, I know exactly what the next week's going to, I mean, one week I'll know what the following week's going to look like. And then like I said, I go into my daily activities each day. So I've got meetings typically with tech team, affiliate manager, not the affiliates. Every once in a while we'll have a question about promoting and things like that. So, so with that, I have one business set up. For my sales team, I really don't do a whole lot with that because I get the client and I work with the client. But once we start selling for them, it's just basically about training my team, which I meet with them weekly, at least once, sometimes twice. And I do a training with them, make sure they have questions and answer things like that. But other than that, my sales manager runs everything. So he'll make sure all the products, everything is done, all the tech stuff is done. And then the third one is a little bit newer to me, which is a B2C company, because I have so many people that are reaching out to me that want to learn how to sell and hold on to their core values and, sell ethically, and get conversions, because that's what their problem is. They're having a problem getting sales. So I've released a new program where I'm teaching people myself. I don't have the time in the band to do one-on-one coaching like I used to. So I do a group coaching where I just teach coaches, mostly coaches, but there are consultants as well. And there are some course creators and other types of service providers. If you sell through consultation, then so that's a little bit newer. So with that, I train typically 2 live calls a week. And other than that, I, just make sure I oversee and manage the membership area and the Facebook group and things like that.
Yeah. That's really great that you do that, because I will definitely send people your way, because I know a lot of people that need that, whether they want to believe it or not. But yes, we must.
So that's such an interesting statement, because you're right. So many people need it, but not that many people realize they need it, especially coaches. A lot of salespeople know that they always want to get better at selling, but I find a lot of coaches and course creators, they don't know they need it. They just feel, hey, I just got to get as many leads as possible. I know I'm going to close 1 out of 10. And, I just teach them how to, get more conversions. So that way they have more people to serve. But a lot of people don't know they need it. And that's that's what I'm finding out, because it's a newer program, is a lot of people don't know they need it. And most people do need it. Almost everybody I talk to needs it.
Yes.
And they love it because it's I teach everything that holds on to everything they believe in, not high pressure, not salesy, not technique driven. It's just always within what they truly, truly want to do.
I completely agree with you. Because just the other point, while we're on the conversion stats type side of it all, is that so you say you help people close about 50%, because like you say, people expect to close 1 out of 10, leads. What is your conversion opinion on this? Do you think you can do more if you do it right?
Absolutely. Well, that's what I do. I mean, I always tell people I never actually work with anybody that implement what I teach that doesn't at least double their conversions.
That's awesome.
So most people, if they implement everything I teach and be consistent with it, they can get over 50%. So a lot of times 1 out of 10 is almost industry average, 1 to maybe 2 out of 10. But then the way I look at it, there's so many people you're not serving. You're paying for that. So whether you do organic or whether you do paid, you're paying. If you're paying money out of your pocket, well, you're paying with money. But if you are investing time, well, your time is worth money, right? So there's an investment of time, which is also monetary. So everybody, I believe, can get over 50%, because the reason people don't buy from you is typically you haven't really listened to what they said. You haven't heard what they said. they don't feel like they know, like, and trust you,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're looking as a commodity. If somebody looks at you as a commodity,
No.
they're not going to buy from you. They're going to look and see where they can get it cheaper.
Exactly.
So what I teach people is how not to be looked as a commodity, become an expert in your space, become a better listener, ask the right questions, and follow up, and truly care about people. Don't cut people off when they're speaking. Just listen to what they have to say.
Yes.
And so I have a process that I teach. I call it unselling, but there's a process I teach how to do that over several, steps. And then once they learn it and they implement it on their strategy calls, yes, they can get. It's not typically overnight, but as you learn it, yes, there's no one that should not be able to get to 50% if they focus.
I love it. We're definitely going to drop your links to everything that you do at the end of this podcast, because people need to get in touch with you. They need this in their lives. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I love teaching it. I mean, I truly believe that there's something missing that everybody could implement. And the way I look at it, it's I want to help people that love to serve more people. That's what my passion is. It's you're converting 1 out of 10. There's 9 people you're not. So if you can get to half, well, that's 4 more people that you can, out of every 10 that you can get your message out to, right? So yeah, actually, I truly enjoy doing what I do.
Awesome. That's just really cool. Okay, so we've talked about struggles, but we haven't talked about successes. So what has been your biggest success up to date? It can be a personal thing, it can be a business related thing, but what does you feel is like your biggest success that you've had over the last year?
The biggest success, like you talking about business wise, personal?
Anything that you feel personally has been a success for you.
I think the biggest, just to align with what we're talking about here, is the biggest thing is I didn't quit. When I should have quit probably years ago with the old mindset that I had.
Yes.
It was so easy to quit. And I always tell people, quitting is really easy. It's just, it doesn't take that much effort to quit. Yeah. But I really, really believed in myself, and that there was, the job that I had, even though it was okay, it was dictating my life. Yes. They were telling me when I can take off, that I could not take Thanksgiving and Christmas off. I was bound to certain holidays. If there was a funeral of somebody close to me, I had to only take a few days off and be back. It was just really constraining. So, my wife was like, well, you're getting paid good money. It's secure. You're doing all this, just stay with it. So there was times I was thinking, well, is she right? Should I, but then I'm so glad I just believed in myself. And then I really, like I said, started modeling success. Yes. So I think the biggest win has just been the fact that I didn't quit. We really wrote down our why and stuck to it, which was really our family dynamic was a huge, huge part of that. And it's been great. It's been great. So there's been a lot of wins. Obviously I've made a lot of money and helped a lot of other people make a lot of money, and doing it my way, and all while I'm helping people. It's kind of a win-win type of situation. So
I love it. It's great to hear when I speak to other people that they love helping people. It's just, it's really, really, really awesome. That basically is it, Tiji. That is our interview. You've answered all my questions. I do have one last, more like a statement. If you can give any advice to somebody starting out their journey, but they're really struggling to make that decision, what would you advise them?
So what I would do is the journey, because I've been through it myself, is there's a lot of stuff bombarding you when you come online. There's a ton of stuff. So the thing is, don't look to do things on the cheap, and just do what you think is right. Invest the time, effort. If you have to invest money, and a lot of times people don't. And here's the other thing: people sometimes tell me, "Well, I would love to do that, but I just don't have the money." So again, you have to ask yourself, where's that coming from? Like if I told that, so if someone tells me they don't have any money, and I tell them, well, do you want a check for $50,000? And they go, yeah. Well, I'll give you a check for $50,000 in 3 days if you go out and give me 10,000. If you give me 10,000, I'll give you 50,000. Well, if they know they're going to get 50 grand, they'll do whatever they got to do to go get 10 grand. So when people tell me they don't have money, it just basically tells me that they're not thinking the way entrepreneurs do. The other thing is, you don't have to go out and get loans and all this other stuff. I mean, go get a part-time job. Go do something else. Go, become a tutor. Do, whatever you have to do. What I'm saying is, if you truly want to become successful, you don't quit, which is one of the biggest things. Don't make excuses. Don't go on the cheap because you think, hey, I'm going to go to YouTube and learn everything. Get a mentor. Mentors are really good. People that have been there and done that. It's going to help you immensely. Like if I had to do everything all over again, I would have got a mentor a long time ago. Because even though I was making 6 figures offline, I was working 18-hour days, not seeing my family. And I figured things out a little bit on my own, but I could have circumvented a lot of that if I just, got some help. So the main thing is, don't quit. Don't go cheap just because you think that's the only way to go. If you have to go get a part-time job to get some money for paid ads or whatever you want to do to get a mentor, do that. But write down what you want, write your goal down, and then don't make excuses until you get there. Just tell yourself, I'm going to get there. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. As long as it's legal, moral, ethical, I'm going to find a way to get it done and not get excuses. And that in itself is going to help people immensely because it's a mindset thing. The mind really is the reason people are going to get there or not. Really, that's what it is.
Yes. That is amazing advice. Thank you so much, Tiji. I really appreciated you coming onto the show and sharing amazing advice. Even the marriage counseling part of it, I think, was also pretty awesome. Thank you. I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs that can benefit out of that, that's for sure.
Very, very welcome.
But thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and have a great evening.
Yeah, I was going to say that if they want to I know your listeners are wanting to get value from this. I have set up a little gift for them if they want to go check it out.
Awesome.
If they just go to TGIFT.com, there's no charge for it. It'll give a little bit of insight of some of my background, but also some of my focuses and how I helped, really got out of where I was at and got to going where I wanted to. Especially if you're a coach or an entrepreneur just starting out, it'll help you because it's just kind of gives you some insights. So just go to TG Gift, no charge for it. And I enjoyed it. It was great. I love spending some time with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And we'll pop the link on the bottom of the podcast as well and all your links so they can come and they can find you. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks so much. Have a good
All right. You're welcome. Take care, everyone.
Bye.